Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session and the ones to come will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. Imagine you are sitting by a crackling fire with a warm cup of cocoa in hand, listening to an old man speak, not just with words, but with the wisdom that time itself has taught him over countless ages. Everything is not as it seems. When you look at the world around you, you tend to take everything at face value, believing that what you see and feel is the truth. But the truth is far more complex, far more elusive than most realize. You might touch something, hear a sound, or see a distant star, and believe that you are experiencing the world as it is in that very moment. But in reality, what you are experiencing is a small slice of something much larger, a collection of impressions, each one delayed by time, space, and your senses themselves. Take the example of a sound. When you hear it, it has already traveled from its source, and by the time it reaches your ears, the moment of its creation is already behind you. The same goes for sight. When you look at the stars in the night sky, the light you see has traveled vast distances, sometimes taking thousands or even millions of years to reach your eyes, and what you see is not necessarily what is happening right now. The stars you observe might no longer exist, and yet their light continues to travel toward you, a distant echo from the past. And that is the nature of reality. You are always looking at the past, even when you think you are seeing the present. Time itself is a slippery thing, never quite present but always slipping away, ever moving into the future, and as it does, it leaves the present in its wake, becoming nothing more than a memory, a thought, a past experience. In fact, even your own perception of the present is not quite as you imagine it. It is always delayed, always lagging behind, like the echo of a voice that has already spoken, or the light of a star that has already burned out. When you touch something, the sensation reaches you not instantly, but after a brief delay, as the nerve signals travel from your skin to your brain, a process that takes time. The same goes for sight and sound. The world is not experienced in real time, but rather as a sequence of moments, each one just slightly out of sync with the next. You may look at the clock and think that the time is now, but the very second you look at it, it has already passed, and what you are seeing is the reflection of a moment that is already gone. It's like trying to catch a wave. You can never truly hold it, for it is always moving, always slipping away from your grasp. And yet, even though time seems to be a moving current, there is something in you that remains constant, something that watches the passing of time with quiet detachment. This is where the true secret lies. My friend, the secret of knowing yourself. For you are not the body you inhabit, nor the thoughts that pass through your mind, nor even the emotions that ebb and flow like the tides. These are transient things, fleeting, impermanent, and always changing. But there is something in you that is constant, something that observes all of these things, something that is not bound by time or space, something that is eternal, unchanging, and beyond the reach of the senses. This is the essence of who you truly are, the self, the Atman, the soul, call it what you will, but it is not something you can grasp with your mind or your senses. It is something you must come to understand through introspection, through deep meditation, and through a quiet, undistracted awareness of the present moment. And when you begin to realize this, you begin to see the world differently. You see that everything you thought you knew, everything you thought was real, is just a fleeting impression, a momentary experience that comes and goes. The world, as you perceive it, is not the true reality. It is a reflection, a shadow of something much greater, something that is beyond the reach of your senses. But understanding this is not enough. You must go deeper, for there are many layers to the truth. The truth is not just about the nature of time or the fleeting nature of the world. It is about understanding the connection between all things. You are not separate from the world around you, and the world is not separate from you. Everything is interconnected. Everything is part of the same cosmic dance, the same unfolding of existence. The stars that shine in the night sky, the earth beneath your feet, the air you breathe, and the fire that warms you, these are not separate from you. You are one with them, just as they are one with you. And once you come to understand this, you begin to see the world through a new lens, one that is free from the limitations of the senses and the ego. You realize that everything you experience is part of a greater whole, and that your sense of individuality is just an illusion. You are not a separate being, disconnected from the rest of the universe. You are part of it, a thread in the vast tapestry of existence. This understanding is the key to freedom, the key to peace, the key to true happiness. For once you realize that you are not separate from the world around you, that you are not bound by time or space, that you are eternal and unchanging, you can let go of the fear, the anxiety, and the attachments that bind you to the world. You can live in the present moment, free from the burden of the past and the fear of the future. And when you live in the present moment, you live in the fullness of life, in the fullness of your true self. But this is not something you can achieve through mere intellectual understanding or through external practices alone. It is something that must be experienced directly, something that can only be known through inner awakening. This is why the ancient teachings, the scriptures, and the sages all emphasize the importance of self-knowledge. They do not speak merely of external rituals or practices, but of the need to look within, to explore the depths of your own being, to discover the truth that lies beneath the surface. Only through this inner journey can you come to realize the true nature of your existence, and once you do, you understand that all the struggles, all the desires, and all the attachments that you once thought were important are nothing more than distractions from the truth. The world is full of distractions, full of things that pull your attention in every direction, things that seem important, things that seem urgent, but in the grand scheme of things, they are all fleeting. Nothing in this world lasts forever, and yet we cling to it as though it does. We chase after wealth, fame, success, and pleasure, believing that these things will bring us happiness, but they only bring temporary satisfaction. The true happiness, the true peace, the true freedom comes not from external possessions, but from within. It comes from understanding who you truly are, from realizing that you are not the body, the mind, or the ego, but the eternal, unchanging self that lies within. And once you realize this, you will find that you no longer need to chase after anything, for everything you need is already within you.